Next up on the call will be Alabama head coach Nick Saban. The Crimson Tide will host Tennessee on Saturday at 2:30 Central on CBS. To ask a question for Coach Saban, please press 10 on your telephone's keypad now. And Coach, while we wait on any questions, if you could please take a moment to comment on your team as you enter the game versus Tennessee on Saturday.
Yeah, well, this is a great rivalry game, special one for lots of people in Alabama, and it's one of the best rivalries in college football throughout the years, and they got a very, very good team. They can run it, they can throw it offensively, and their defense is, one of the tops in the SEC. Hard to score against, a very well-coached team, and their fastball pace of play is challenging for the defense. So a lot of challenges in this game, but it's playing a great rivalry game against a great team. It's what players look forward to.
For questions, press 10, and we'll begin with Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel.
Coach, there's the tradition that the winner of this game smokes a victory cigar. I'm curious to know do you like that tradition, or do you participate in it, or do you just tolerate it?
Well, I guess it's fun when you get the opportunity to smoke a cigar. I don't smoke, so I just kind of chew on one for a little bit. But I think games like this that have sort of special innuendos that go with them. It's probably good for the players. It's probably good for the players, relationships with each other to do things like that. So I don't think there's anything bad about it.
Thank you.
Next is David Pascal, the Chattanooga Times Free Press.
Hey, Nick, I know it took you a long time to experience both sides of the rivalry as far as wins and losses, and I know last year's outcome won't affect Saturday's game, but does it affect the build-up to it? Have you noticed a more spirited practice week in Tuscaloosa as a result of what happened last year?
Well, we've always had a tremendous amount of respect for Tennessee, their program, and they obviously have a really good team last year. They got a really good team this year, so I think the spirit comes from the challenge of what you have to play against, and not necessarily what happened the last several years, but this is a big game for a lot of reasons for both sides relative to the SEC and all kinds of things. So there's a lot of reasons to have spirit about playing in this game, and I think our players certainly understand all those.
And I know when you first got there, you said that, among the older Alabama fans, this is as big of a rivalry as anything, because I know there wasn't the Iron Bowl in like the 30s and for most of the 40s. You've already been asked several questions about the tradition. If the SEC moves forward with that 1-7 format, how disappointed would you be to see a rivalry like this not take place on an annual basis?
Well, I just think that's, I think that's happening all over college football, where you're going to have, these great rivalry games that, players, fans, everyone in programs sort of look forward to, that, are not going to be able to exist on a year-to-year basis. So I think there's a lot of people that are disappointed in some of those things.
Thank you.
Next is Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama.
Good morning, Coach. Can you talk about just the confidence that Jermaine Burton is playing with right now at receiver, and how that type of confidence can really influence everybody else in the room?
Yeah, well, I think, Jermaine is playing really, really well for us. He's made a lot of explosive plays the last couple of weeks, and I think when you have a player like that at a position, I think it probably, elevates the spirit of everybody in the room relative to their opportunities to make some plays. And I think at receiver, that's what those guys sort of strive for all the time. So I think it's important to have somebody step up and really, have success at that position, and other guys see they have the opportunity to do the same thing.
Next is Blake Topmeyer of the USA Today Network.
Hi, Nick. When it comes to Jalen MILROE, where have you seen him exhibit growth from the beginning of the season to where he is now?
Yeah, well, I think he has a better understanding of, the expectation for him in terms of how he impacts the offense through his execution. So I think that has developed a lot more confidence. And, I think that, he has to continue to grow and develop the ability to, sort of be able to sustain. Nobody can play perfect. So there's going to be, some bumps in the road that you have to go through. But how you manage those, I think, is, really, really important. And I think that's something that he's gotten much better at as well. So, and I think that's critical at the quarterback position, because everybody else on the offensive team is kind of looking to you for, that kind of confidence and ability to execute.
And I know you've said a couple times this year, kind of comparing a quarterback to a point guard from a basketball team and distributing the ball. Is that something an analogy you've kind of used over the years with different quarterbacks, or is that something that's kind of new that you're trying with Jalen?
Well, I think that it's just something that I thought would be apropos for, Jalen, in terms of his thought process of, how important it is for him to execute and not think that he has to make every play, but that distributing the ball in the right place is actually making plays. And the whole idea is to play winning football at your position, and making good choices and decisions is probably, the key to the drill there, and much like a point guard in basketball. So, it's not something I've used in the past, but I do think it's sort of, something that resonated with him, that's helped him grow and develop at the position.
Thanks.
Next is Ernest Smith of the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hey, Nick, I wanted to ask you, with Jalen and Tua playing against each other for the first time in the NFL, I guess, what's something about their relationship that maybe people don't realize, and what do you think the significance of the game is going to be for them?
Well, I never had two players that were really, really good players at the same position who actually supported each other the way those two guys supported each other when they were here. And I think that comes from mutual respect, and both guys being great team guys, and, putting the team before their own personal feelings. And, one guy went 26-2 as a starter and got replaced by another guy for a whole year and supported him. And when that guy got hurt, he went in and won the game. But the psychological support and that they gave each other in every circumstance is something that I think is really, really special. And I'm sure they have the same feeling about each other. I know they're both great competitors, so they're going to go do what they have to do for their team. But I do think there'll be a mutual respect by both guys.
In that 2018 season, I guess, what did you see from Jalen behind the scenes? We didn't get to see him play until that Georgia game, but what did you see from him kind of developing, like I said, behind the scenes?
Yeah, well, what I think Jalen did was, because he took this situation that he was in and said, okay, I had a meeting with him and said, look, if you want to play in the NFL someday, you have a great opportunity every day in practice to improve as a passer, improve your reading the coverages, reading the defense, better anticipation, all those things. And, if you do that, it's going to help your development tremendously. So don't be frustrated that you may not be starting in some games, but when you get opportunities, you're going to be a much better player because you've made an improvement in all those areas. And, he took that and did a great job with it, and I think he made a significant amount of progress. I've said before that, he probably improved more the year he didn't play than the years he did as a passer.
That's all your time today, Coach. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
The Vols will travel to Alabama at 3:30 Eastern Saturday on CBS. To ask a question for Coach Heupel, please press 10 on your telephone's keypad now. And Coach, while we wait on any questions, if you could please take a minute to comment on your team as you enter the Alabama game this weekend.
Hey, hope everybody's having a great day. We just finished up preparation here this morning on a Wednesday, and obviously everybody inside of our program understands the test that we have. Facing a really good Alabama football team. I think they play all three phases of the football game extremely well, but they play them extremely well together. Going to be a great environment and a huge test for our football team. Offensively, really efficient in what they're doing in the run game. Offensive line, I think, plays extremely well together. And quarterbacks continue to develop at a really high level. He's playing really good football right now. Obviously, extremely dynamic in what he's able to do in the run game, but really has continued to develop as a passer and pushing the football field down the football field as well as anybody in the country right now. Completion percentage and their chunk plays. Dynamic skill players out on the outside, so a huge test for us defensively and offensively. Their defensive front, their ability to stop the run. They're big, thick, strong, but extremely athletic up front, and obviously have been able to get after the quarterback as well. You look at their sack stats, and really good personnel on the back end, and special teams are extremely solid too. So huge test here this week for us, and one that we're excited about. Though I'll open it up.
First, we'll have David Pascal, the Chattanooga Times Free Press.
Hey, Josh, I know you heard about this rivalry from day one in January of 21, but having gone through it at each location now, what would you say you've kind of learned the most about it, or maybe something you experienced that you didn't think was coming about it?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that's completely unexpected. It was the first thing that I heard about when I came here, and for our fan base, this is one that they point to a historic rival, and obviously always played the same weekend. The passion and the pageantry of the game, the excitement that surrounds it, I think is really unique, and obviously it's a big football game. Has historically had huge importance on the SEC races and the ability to put yourself in position to do the things you want to within the conference.
And on a completely different topic, it's not every matchup that has two quarterbacks who have career runs of 75-plus yards like these two do. How hard is it to emulate quarterback runs in practice when you're dealing with bigger physical quarterbacks, but they're wearing non-contact jerseys?
Yeah, extremely difficult to finish the way these quarterbacks, the way that he has a chance to finish it. His strength, his speed, his ability to change direction, all of those things are something that is extremely difficult to emulate. It's something that, your players, for us defensively, we got to settle into the football game extremely early on that side of it. I think, the running quarterback is one of the hardest things to simulate during the course of your preparation. One, you're typically not tackling that guy, and two, as dynamic as he is, it's hard to have somebody back there that your defense is facing on a consistent basis throughout the course of the week.
Thank you.
Next will be Nick Alvarez of AL.com.
Hey, Josh, there's that great shot post-game from last year's Tennessee-Alabama game of you smoking a cigar on the field. Just to what extent have you noticed kind of that part of the tradition and the rivalry over the years? And if anything, have you noticed if it's kind of grown even more among the fans over the last couple of seasons?
Yeah, I think, just hearing it from people that have been around this program, I think that part of the tradition of the game has only continued to grow. I think it's really unique. I've been in trophy games before, had never been involved in anything quite like this one, where the cigar is a part of the celebration on the back end. My first memory of that obviously was being in Tuscaloosa when we were on the wrong side of it. So it's a really unique part of the game and celebration of this rivalry.
Next is Adam Sparks with the Knoxville News Sentinel.
Josh, I've got another cigar question. I'm just curious about the logistics of this. When you're the home team, you had cigars there. Alabama will have them. I'm sure they had them last year. Do you have to make sure going into the week that there's an ops guy or something that brings cigars with you to Tuscaloosa?
And I'm gonna be honest. That's the first time I thought about that this week. There's enough to do in our preparation to get ready for these guys. So,
thanks.
Next is Steve Moulton, WZZN.
Coach, I always appreciate the time. This rivalry I know has been talked quite a bit about, and you said it was a big deal when you were first hired. How is this at all comparable to Oklahoma, Texas? This rivalry, Coach?
Yeah, this is a special one. The proximity of everybody. The importance that it has always had. It's different than that game, and then that game's always played in a neutral site, so it's a little bit different. But it makes it extremely special because you are bouncing back and forth between being home and on the road too. So this rivalry is extremely special inside of college football, but for these two programs too.
And in terms of Alabama's ability to stop the run and your run game in particular, and the kind of the growth that you've seen, what would you, growth-wise, what have you seen out of your run game this year, Coach?
Yeah, I said it earlier this week. We've had a lot of different pieces up front. Just the way the season's unfolded, we've had to play multiple guys because guys have been nicked up at times, and I feel like they continue to settle in, continue to grow, continue to get better. But our tight ends have been really instrumental in it, and we got three running backs that have had experience and are playing their best football, and all that pairs in together, and obviously the quarterback's a part of that too. So, I like the growth of what we've been able to do up there, but this is a big challenge, man. These guys, first of all, the personnel is really good on all three levels, and I say that meaning, their safeties are in the fit too, and they do an extremely good job of tackling. Their linebackers are fast and physical, and their front four, is special. So, huge test for us in this one, and the balance for us offensively. We got to be able to maintain some balance. I think the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball is really important in this game.
Thank you, Coach.
That's going to be all for today, Coach. Thank you.